Okay, we're doing something a little different here. Let's try this. As I've been watching recently, when I encounter a movie with just a particularly dumb character, I'll mark it down. Because there's one thing that horror movies have no shortage of, and that's dumb characters. So, here's 12 that I found to be more ridiculous with their bad choices, and down below in the comments, you're gonna see their names. What I want you to do is give the thumbs up to the one that you think is the dumbest, just the biggest bag of hammers that we have here today. You can thumbs up more than one if you want. I mean, I can't stop you, but whoever has the most likes, I guess, wins. Also, if you have someone that you think is even dumber, make your own comment and people can like that as well. Let's see if the dumbest horror character is one that you see here or someone else entirely. Hopefully that all makes sense. I mean, unless you want me to dumb it down. Number 1. Okay, now these are in no order. They're random, and our first contestant is Joey from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4. He's a prominent character in part 3 and is mute, but more importantly, Joey is horny. Like, so much of this kid's character revolves around him ogling women. When we first meet him, the first time that we see him, he's really creepily eyeing up a nurse. So of course, later on, when Freddy is looking to lure him in, he appeals to his libido by enticing him with that hot blonde candy striper. After canoodling a bit, because, you know, Freddy decided right there that he wanted to make out with Joey, he didn't have to, he chose to. Although judging from what we know about Krueger, Joey seems a little old for his taste, but whatever. Joey falls for it and ends up in a dream coma, held hostage by the Fredster. He's eventually freed, rescued by his friends, and he helps out in killing the burned one. So, then, a while later, him and Kincaid and Kirsten are in school and they all think he's gone for good, but Kirsten suddenly is having these dreams that he's coming back. She tells them and even brings them into her dream, but they don't believe her. And of course, shortly after, he comes for them. And how does he do it? By luring him in with another naked blonde girl. So, Joey, who has been warned that Freddy might be coming back, knows that he's in a dream, because if not, then he's a bigger idiot for not being freaked out that there's a naked girl inside his waterbed, and still just is like, oh, wow, girl. Never once crosses his mind that, hey, this seems familiar. This seems like a scenario I've been in before that involved the guy that my friend warned me might be back. And he ends up dead in a waterbed, and just how exactly did this get ruled a suicide anyway? How did people think this happened? But it doesn't matter, because he's dead, because he's dumb. But is he the dumbest? Number 2. Alright, contestant number 2 is Micah, whatever, from Paranormal Activity, that has the pleasure of not only being an idiot, but also kind of an asshole. As soon as weird stuff starts going on in their house, they're trying to figure out what's going on, right? And they get this expert guy who straight up tells them that engaging the demon only makes it stronger. So what does he do? He's like, oh, okay then, I'm going to engage it as hard as I can. He's always taunting it, challenging it, and never listens to anything that his girlfriend is saying. He's like the bro who gets mad at some guy at the mall looking at his girl and has to make a scene like, what are you looking at, man? Yeah, I thought so. So he's also a crap boyfriend, trying to trick her into filming themselves having sex, and whenever she's in trouble, make sure to grab the camera before helping her. But then the guy sees on camera a door moving, heard the demon in his house, saw his girl put into some sort of a trance, then wanted to argue with the psychic, didn't listen to any of his advice, and then made Katie promise not to call him. He even pushes things further by buying a freaking Ouija board, and then when it's clear that things are completely out of control and they should just get the hell out of there, like get far, far away, and he's finally like, let's go, and she says, I want to stay, after having several possession episodes, and he's just like, oh, okay, I guess we'll stay then. Nothing fishy here. And he ends up dead, of course, because he's dumb. But is he the dumbest? Number 3. This one's a more recent one, but our next candidates are Teddy and Claire from Superhost. This one's from 2021, and oh man, these two. So they're like vloggers, and their whole niche is going to different Airbnbs and doing reviews of them. But then they go to one and encounter Rebecca. And yeah, she's pretty eccentric, but like, you know, people, right? Encountering an oddball host isn't really cause for alarm, but yeah, early on, she's like spying on them in the night and then just randomly showing up in the morning to cook, giving them crazy eyes the whole time. So she's gone beyond basic weird, and they even interview her and realize that she's nuts. They know she's spying on them because she talks to them through the camera and start to really think that something's up and that she's coming into the house and may not even be the actual owner. All red flags, and they realize this. They know that something really messed up is going on, so they do something smart. They just decide to pack up and go. Solid, smart horror movie move. And they do. They don't even say, okay, we'll just get through this one night and then leave tomorrow like they normally say in horror movies. No, they go right then. But as they're leaving, Rebecca's standing there in the middle of the road and they stop. So keep in mind, they're leaving because they really think there's something deeply suspicious about her. All they have to do is keep driving. But no, they stop and talk to her, the person standing in the road. But wait, it gets dumber. So then she says, oh hey, follow me down this trail and into the woods. And they go! I mean, I wouldn't even follow an Airbnb owner that doesn't seem crazy off into the woods, let alone a person that freaked them out so much they cut their trip short. Sure, that's the person you're gonna just suddenly say, sounds like a great idea, yeah. She even runs ahead of them. There's plenty of opportunity to just turn around, run back to your car, and hightail it home. But they don't, because they're dumb. But are they the dumbest of the dumb? Number 4. Our next dummy is a classic, and I feel bad putting this one on here because I know the party responsible, and it's Sombrero Man from Dawn of the Dead. He's played by Tony Buba, a Pittsburgh documentary filmmaker legend, and the guy who taught me editing in film school back in the day. Sombrero Man is named Pedro, and he runs with the biker gang that's pillaging the mall. Now, this group is shown to be pretty chaotic and erratic, but very, very destructive, and like to court death by taunting the zombies. As they enter the mall, Pedro decides that he wants to get his blood pressure taken because, hey, you know, even in a zombie apocalypse, it's important to maintain a healthy lifestyle, but is told by his friends to knock it off. But then, a little later on, when the tide of the raid is turned and the bikers are taking multiple casualties, it seems like most of them are trying to make their escape. But not Pedro. Nope, Pedro is so dedicated to the cause of blood pressure awareness that he goes back to the machine and jams his arm in there. Sure enough, to the surprise of no one, he's soon mobbed, and the zombies tear off that arm and eat him alive, leaving his arm in that machine. I guess registering low blood pressure for you then. So he died because he was, well, really dumb. But is he the dumbest? Number 5. Oh boy, now we're gonna talk about Claire from Wish Upon, because this is a pretty big one. So the premise here is that she gets a hold of this music box and there's an inscription on it about making wishes, and after wishing a bully rots, which she then does, Claire figures out that the wishes are real. But then her dog dies right after. She then makes a couple of other wishes, and each one is followed very shortly by someone around her dying. But then, get this, she has a friend to translate the symbols on the side of the box to her, and he flat out tells her that each wish comes with a consequence. And they get the thing's backstory, showing that its previous owner suffered quite a bit, and the woman who translated even dies after Claire makes another wish. So like by this point, you think, hey, this is all starting to seem a little too coincidental, right? I wish someone dies. It's now happened 4 freaking times. 4 times! So no more wishes, right? Nope! She just goes right home and makes another damn wish. But like, she now knows there's consequences and also knows people are dying, so she wishes for something important, right? Nope! She wishes to be popular. Well, that leads to one of her best friends being killed, so now she gets it, right? She finally stops wishing? Hell no. She wishes her mom to be back alive again. Like, girl, you have a problem, and the problem is that you're addicted to dumb wishes. Her wishes are even stupid. Like she has a magic wish box and wishes 1, a bully's skin the rot, but we'll let that slide because it was before she knew it was real. But then 2, that a hunky boy would love her back. So now she's not just dumb, but she's in favor of forced magical love slavery. 3, to be rich, which okay, I'll give her that one. 4, that her dad would stop dumpster diving. That's a wish that she makes. She has 7 wishes to do anything at all. Save the world, save children from starving, world peace, anything. Nope, dad to stop dumpster diving. Well done, Claire. 5, to be popular in school, and 6, to bring her mom back from the dead. I will point out that 4, 5, and 6 all come after she knows there is dire consequences to her wishes. She knows that there are consequences up to and including people dying, and she still goes with the dad thing. And guess what? She ends up dead because she's stupid. But is she the dumbest one here? Number 6. Look, I love Miguel Ferrer. He was a fantastic actor, but oh man, do we have to talk about Snyder from Deep Star 6. This is a movie about a deep sea naval facility, and Snyder is one of the technicians there. And not only does he have a pretty grating personality, but he makes like half a dozen of the most egregious screw-ups in film history. Let's review. First up, when things start going wrong, he leaves his post, causing trouble for the crew in the observation pod. Now, I'm giving him a slight pass on this one because they said to get the captain, and he did go do that, but it's pretty clear he's taking his time. But then here's the big one. He's tasked with securing the base's missiles, and he's entering the computer codes, and it wants to know the reasoning. Is it natural causes or aggression? He doesn't know what this means and consults Collins, but doesn't actually explain what he's doing. And she says that the creature was aggressive, so he's all like, oh, okay, I'll choose aggression, which triggers an automatic missile detonation. So at this point, you're all like, well, maybe he just didn't understand what it was asking because it's not super clear. But he's the guy tasked to do this. You'd have to assume that he'd at least have some training, and also would make sure to get absolute clarity before doing something involved with nuclear freaking missiles. But then, here's the key part. It says on the screen, emergency missile detonation. It says it right, it's like right there. And Snyder's all, well, guess we move forward with this. That leads to the base being massively damaged. But that's not all. There's more. When the creature breaches the base, Snyder busts out this big harpoon thing with a detonating cap, and it just swings around with one of his crewmates right in front of him. So what happens? Yep, exploded guy. Finally, in a last act of idiocy, he just decides to get in the escape pod with no one else allowed in and launches it without going through decompression. So not only killing himself, but also making sure that no one else can use the damn thing. The funny thing is that this entire movie would be pretty easy, and the monster would not have been that big of a threat were it not for its brain-addled conspirator, Snyder, who of course ends up dead because he's really, really dumb. Possibly the dumbest one of all, but what do you think? Number 7. This next one's a twofer, and it's Big John and Little John from Halloween Kills. This entire movie has its fair share of stupid characters, but the Johns are the ones that stuck out to me the most, and here's why. First, I need to set this up. We learned that after the events of the original Halloween, Michael returned to his childhood home and stayed there until the police arrived and they finally brought him in. In the long gap between that time and now, we learned that his old haunt is now inhabited by Big and Little, a married couple, and it's perfectly clear that they are fully aware of the house's sordid past. We know this because they tell the story to scare off some trick-or-treaters, so they know the details of what went on that night. So, by this point, the whole Michael Myers thing has been going on for a while, and the people of the town are fully aware that he's on the loose. It's all over the news. Big John and Little John know that Michael Myers is out there somewhere. So, to reiterate, they are fully aware that the psychotic killer who used to live in their house, who went back to that house after committing his last set of murders, is out there somewhere. So do they do anything about this? Do they say, well, hey, there's a chance that he might do that again. Maybe we should tell the police. Maybe we should not be here right now. Maybe a hotel would be a good option until this is all over. Just in case the killer who came home 40 years ago decides to, come home again. But they don't do that. Instead, they go back to the house and turn on some music and get ready to watch a movie and, just relax with the murderer who used to live in their house on the loose. Well, guess what? He does come home, because of course he does. Because again, it's exactly what he did the last time, and he kills them. So they both end up dead. Both of them, because they're both really dumb. But are they the dumbest? Number 8. So generally I try to avoid talking about the human centipede on this channel, but I guess I have no choice here because there's no way I'm not making Katsuro a candidate. So in case you're not familiar with the movie, and I don't blame you if you're not, but the evil Dr. Heller has decided that he wants to create a human centipede. I know, go figure, right? And it's basically 3 people surgically attached to each other, and their mouths would be grafted onto the person in front of them's butthole and on down the line. Katsuro is chosen as the front of the pede, which gives them more control than those in the back, so he's got a bit of an advantage. And here's why he's dumb. Near the ending of the film, while the police are raiding upstairs, the Stitched trio decide to escape, and they do pretty well. But then the idiocy steps in. So they manage to slash his ankle, knocking him to the ground, and then Katsy bites his neck. So here, he has a bladed weapon in his hand and just figures, okay, I guess close enough, and they just crawl away. He very, very easily could have stabbed him again, or like 17 more times, but no, instead just leaves. They're in a bit of a hurry too, which they wouldn't have to be if they had just taken 2 seconds to ensure the doc was dead. For some extra dumb, he then leaves the scalpel in the doc's leg. It's right there. You didn't confirm that the guy was dead. Why would you leave him and leave him with a knife? But then, when it turns out that Heller's of course not down for the count, he comes after them with the damn knife because, dumbass, you left it with him. But he's now just as hindered with his walking because he can't stand up, so you're both crawling now. And K-Man grabs this heavy-ass lamp to break a window with. Bear in mind, This lamp is dense enough that it was able to crack the reinforced glass. So imagine what it would do to a human skull. And yeah, you're Katsuro. You've got two people stapled to your butthole, but you have the use of both hands, and you have what is essentially a club in one of them. And then you pick up a jagged piece of glass in the other, and there's a guy crawling at you that can't stand up and is bleeding profusely from the neck. So what do? That's right! Commit suicide by slicing your own neck with the glass, ensuring that the girls behind you are doomed because they don't have the mobility or use of their eyes in the way that you do. And hey, random cop shows up like 3 minutes later and shoots the doc. All you had to do was fend him off using the lamp, and that guy would have come in, take him out, and you and the girls, well, one girl, because one had already died, would be saved and probably restored. But no, that's not what you did, because Katsuro, you're a moron. But are you the moronist? Number 9. Okay, this next one is a bit different. I wanted to avoid statements like, oh, everyone in this movie, because lots of movies have a bunch of dumb characters. So I wanted to focus more on specific people, but for this one, I'm making an exception. This is the players of the game in Saw 5. Britt, Malik, Charles, and Luba. They're all trapped in one of Jigsaw's games, and the twist here is that at the end, they realize that if they had all worked together from the start, that they would have made the later games easier to win. But they were too at each other's throats to realize. Now, this could have been pretty obvious from the beginning, since they were in these neck things that pulled them back when one went forward. A child could probably figure out that it would go quicker if they all just went one at a time. But whatever, stress, right? It's not blatantly obvious, so I guess we're gonna let that one pass. But the real stupidity comes out in the second trap. Second out of 4, pretty early on. They're in this room, and there's a bomb gonna go off, and there's these bomb shelters in the wall. But there's only 3 shelters, and there's 4 of them. So they just assume that one of them has to die. But oh my God, look at these shelters. How on earth could anyone not just say, oh hey, there's room for more than one person in here? Hell, these look big enough for about 3 of them. The fact that none of them realizes this is just proof that they're all as dense as can be. Anyone that has seen this movie knows exactly what I'm talking about with it too. I guarantee that if you're out there watching this and you've seen Saw 5, the first time you saw it, you were saying, well, why don't 2 of them go in one tunnel? You know you did. Every single person who ever saw this movie said this. Everyone in the world realized that there was enough room in these tubes for more than one of them. Everyone, except for these characters, that is, because they're dumb. So well, half of them are dead, I guess. So does the fact that they mostly survived mean they're not so dumb? Or are they the dumbest ever? Number 10. So there's a lot of dumb in the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but there's something in particular I want to talk about. As a sidebar, I wanted to include all of the people on the bus here. All of them. And here's why. It's not even because there's like 20 of them and the person they're up against is a 70-year-old man with a single chainsaw, and yet they somehow can't overpower him. Ignore that. Whatever. But here's something stupid. There are multiple shots of them just pounding on the windows, banging on these windows and just unable to get out. There's just no escape. But then after everyone else is chopped up, this girl is running from Leatherface and just slides one open to the side, like super easy, barely an inconvenience, just slides right open. And she almost escapes, but because she's the last one left, she's chopped. How did no one, not a single person on this bus, try this beforehand? But wait, that's not what we're gonna talk about here. I'm just pointing that out. That's too many people. Instead, we're gonna focus on one, and that's Sally. She managed to survive her attack when she was younger and escape, but she knew that Bubba was still out there somewhere, and apparently she spent the last 40-some years prepping for when he returns. But then, when she gets the chance to face off against him, first up, she leaves 2 girls just trapped in the back of her truck for some reason. Like just tell them to get the hell out of there. She goes to face him and finds him unarmed. He's literally just sitting there. The dude you've been thinking about for decades. And instead of shooting, you spout off some "say my name" crap. What the hell is even that? She still doesn't shoot even after he gets up and walks over and picks up the chainsaw. Like he's gonna have a weapon in his hand in a second. Shoot! But she doesn't. And when he walks away from her, she still doesn't shoot. She knows he's going outside with a chainsaw and there's two girls stuck out there and she doesn't shoot. But then when she finally decides to do something, she just walks right up to him. You have a gun. He has a handheld weapon. There's no need for you to get within arm's length of him. But she does. So she dies because she's just so dumb. But is she the dumbest? Number 11. This next one, I think everyone is expecting to be on here because when I say dumbest characters, I believe one of the first things to pop up into people's minds would be Milburn from Prometheus, but you all know him better as Snake Guy. Milburn was the resident biologist on the ship, and when they land on the alien planet, they find remnants of an ancient civilization. Now, the remains of dead engineers and stuff on the ground freak him out. They freak him out so severely that he has to get out of there and go back to the ship, with him and Fifield leaving the rest of the crew to go back themselves. Somehow, even though Fifield is the geologist and is the guy who launched off the really advanced mapping drones throughout the cave systems, somehow they still get lost. But then, while lost, they come across an alien life form, and it's this thing, which looks somewhat like a snake here, although clearly not terrestrial. So, based on his response to seeing dead alien life forms, he steers clear of this thing, right? Nope, he starts cooing at it. Keep in mind, this guy is the biologist of the group. That's his scientific designation. He wasn't interested whatsoever in the full-grown life forms he could study while they were dead and clearly harmless. No, those scared him. This thing, though, this living creature that is in what is very obviously a defensive pose to me, but what do I know? I'm not a futuristic biologist. But he sees this thing with this behavior and gets in even closer. Again, this might have made some sort of sense if he had previously shown some sort of interest in alien life forms, but they clearly showed him so heebie-jeebied by them that he had to run back home. But then, 30 seconds later, he's all like, "Ooh, check out this cool and interesting thing. Suddenly, I'm not scared or worried about these sorts of things anymore." I know that I'm not a fan of the movie and thinking the writing is sketchy, but even if you love it, there's no way to deny that getting all up in this alien snake thing's face is just stupid. And because of it, he's dead. Because he's dumb. You know the drill. Is he the dumbest? Number 12. This is the one that I don't think a lot of people think of when you say dumb movie character. But I'm gonna make my case because it's Tatum from Scream. Why is she here? Okay, first off, she knows that someone is out there killing people. By this point, she's aware of a murder and her friend has been attacked, and she's fully aware of what the killer is wearing. When she sees Ghostface in the doorway, she immediately goes into snarky, nice trick territory and figures it's someone playing a prank. Like, you know that someone dressed like this is targeting your specific group, and seeing this doesn't put you a little on guard? But that's not it. Here's where the stupidity really shows through. She does a pretty good job and fights back, at one point knocking him down enough to get to the door. But I guess it's locked and Ghosty comes after her. But then she spots the doggy door in the garage and decides to try to squeeze through it. And even though it looks pretty damn big, she somehow manages to get stuck. You have to be really dumb to get stuck in a door this big, but she does. And then GF just presses the garage door opener, which is right by the door, and it opens and kills her. And Tatum was so dumb that she, when standing by the door, didn't think, oh hey, I can push that and open the garage and escape. No, instead she says, let me try to fit through that tiny opening. Now, you may say to yourself, but it wasn't her house, but perhaps she didn't know it was there. Dude, every house I have ever been in with a garage door has the opener right by the door. I know there will be someone in the comments saying like, well, in my house, the garage door opener was on the other side of the room. Well, your room was freaking weird. You don't count. 99.9% of all garage door openers are in the place where this one clearly was, and it's not like she didn't know the landscape. This is her boyfriend's house. She strolled right into the garage and knew where the beer was because she's been there plenty. She'd be aware it was there, but she didn't do that because she's dumb. But is she the dumbest? You decide. So there you have it, 12 really dumb movie characters. Go down into the comments down below. You're gonna see their names listed out. All you gotta do is thumbs up on the ones that you think are the dumbest. Whoever has the most thumbs up is horror's dumbest character. And again, if you didn't see the person that you think is the absolute dumbest in this list, put them in the comments down below. And we can thumb that up as well too. We'll see who gets the award for being, I don't know, Mr. Stupid Pants. Yeah, I don't know, do that. And if you enjoyed this video, click on that like button. If you enjoy what you see on the channel, of course, subscribe to it. And if you want to go to my Patreon page, you can at patreon.com/movietimelines. Help support the channel like these guys do. It'd be pretty awesome of you. And I thank you for watching these videos, and I will see you very shortly for another great one. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.